Welcome back, planet Earth, United States, Northeast, Southeast, to all the cars I've loved before. Your podcast where every car tells a story in. We talk about life lessons through cars because guess what? We are where automotive history and American history meet your history, your family's history. We're going to get into, with our very special guest today, a situation where automobiles are her family's business, her bloodline, going back over a century. And before we get into that, let's little bit of housekeeping. How you doing over there, partner? How's the audio?
Audio sounds good. Audio sounds good.
Yeah, we had some. Yep.
No, I was going to say the network plumber, aka me, was having network problems for once.
Yeah.
For once, it wasn't you. So
That's true. Thank goodness. You never hear about the guys on SmartLess or Mark Maron having any of these technical difficulties. But you know what, listener land? They do. They have them. You got to figure it out. We have this product to put on the air. We work hard for you to come up with great guests, great stories, et cetera, et cetera. So we're just going to kind of roll with it. I'll let you know if you're glitching or having any problems. But like Doug said, for once, hey, so what is that background? That's the Golden Gate Bridge, correct?
It is. Zoom selected it for me, but I think you and I walked across it, didn't we? Or at least 3/4 of it.
Yeah. So
in 2017.
It was a while ago. Yeah, Doug and I have known each other for quite a while, and he used to be one of these. Would you call yourself a road warrior in prior jobs? You would just kind of crisscross the nation for his jet set, glitzy, high-tech gig. And he'd always say to me, hey, man, I'm going to be here for a weekend. You want to come here? Hey, man, I'm going to be here there. That was a great trip, though. I do remember that trip because I flew into San Jose, rented the car first. This was in, I'm going to say April or May of 2017. I got into San Jose.
I think it was actually February.
Oh, you might be right. We were out there. San Jose, by the way, is beautiful. I'd never been there before. You come out of the San Jose airport, and it's just, most airports you come out of, and you're in some industrial warehouse district. Absolutely no fun to be in. San Jose, you look one way, and the mountains are right there. And I said, I want to be in mountains. I just drove up into the mountains and just drove around in circles until your flight came in a few hours later. What happened after that? We went to like the Intel Museum out there.
We did. We went to the Intel Museum. We went to the Jelly Belly Museum.
Jelly Belly Museum was great, except the weather was terrible. The traffic was terrible.
And it closed.
And it closed. It was raining, and I was so angry at you because you made us late. We missed the last tour by 5 minutes. So, all we got to do was experience the gift shop.
Well, and I was angry at you for being angry at me. So I did a 180 in the parking lot in reverse in our rented Mustang, which seemed to be entertaining to you, I think.
Yeah. Maybe we're terrible travel partners. Have you ever thought of that?
Could be.
It's possible. Yeah, here we are to tell the tale. Do you remember the car that we rented?
Of course. It was probably a 2016, 2017 Mustang.
Yeah.
V6. Had some guts. It was red, and we got that awesome picture in the hills of San Francisco where that house from been in
they call them the Painted Ladies, I think.
The Painted Ladies, yeah.
And it's these beautiful townhomes, $10 million townhomes, 1,300 square feet right behind us. That was a great picture. We
did a lot of walking. We went to the not to go too far. We went to the what was it? We went to Alcatraz, which was awesome. That was so amazing.
Yeah, Tom, our guest, let's see, we interviewed Tom recently for an episode, and he just went there with Jamie. And so we were talking about Alcatraz, and I told him about the funny stunt where we went on the last tour of the day, and I tried to lock you in one of the cells. But
fortunately, I cut a hole in the wall and I got out.
Yeah, just like Shawshank Redemption. And I will say that Mustang do not handle well in the rain. Do not handle well in the rain. Be very careful. Rear wheel Pontiacs also the same. Don't ask me how I know. But
I would also say, thank God that car was automatic, because I could not imagine driving stick shift in San Francisco. Oh my God.
20 feet
I could
stop,
barely see over
start,
the hood.
20 feet stop. Yeah. Brutal.
Talk about rolling back.
But enough about me. Let's talk about you. Yes. What do you think about me? No, we have a great guest to get to today.
Yes.
And so excited.
Another friend
in doing
of a friend of the show.
We cannot get enough of these wonderful people we meet. And who's going to introduce her? Are we going to fight over ourselves to introduce this wonderful guest, or what?
Well,
are you freezing or am I freezing?
No, I'm here.
All right, so I'm gonna let you handle it. Yeah, well, Guinevere came to us by way of James, who has really been a master social networker for us for the show, with bringing us interesting James McCrae. And I don't know how he knows so many wonderful, giving people, but that is how Guinevere has been brought to our doorstep. How are you, Guinevere?
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me tonight.
I'm
doing well.
Fantastic. And we are reaching you from the wilds of Connecticut, the wilds of Greenwich. Yeah.
Right.
Now, how did you, let me ask, if I may, how you came to know James, and then how did he approach you to be on our show?
I met James a few months ago this spring. I actually went to school to become a fine art photographer. And the Malcolm Pray Achievement Center, which is a car collection in Bedford, New York. They're right on the line. So they bring kids down from tech classes, and they do everything from, how a car runs to how to winterize a car to just basic car facts. Me and my dad have gone up to Newburgh before to do history of cars, and they had cars throughout the decades. So this time it just happened to be a photography class. And so James and I were both there as mentors. I happened to bring a car and teach one of the groups.
Wonderful. Okay.
And then he just started, telling me about the podcast.
Nice. Sorry, and I interrupted, but I had to ask, and this will maybe be a good lead-in. Was that car was that car a Toyota? Was it a Honda? Was it a Datsun? What kind of car was it that you brought up there?
It was a Volkswagen. That day it was actually a water-cooled Volkswagen because it was raining and Lily doesn't come out in the rain. And it was a pretty crappy day, but photography is better when it's cloudy. So, but I did bring the water-cooled car that day. So it was a 1987 triple white Cabriolet with snowflake rims.
Oh, snowflake. What does that mean? What does snowflake rims mean?
It has like the 5 spokes.
Got you. Yeah. I've never heard. That's pretty neat. That is very neat. And so he mentioned to you that he'd been on this podcast, or he mentioned that there was a podcast.
He mentioned there was a podcast. I can't remember if he said he'd been on it, but he said it was super cool. It was about, people that love their cars and have great stories. And he said, I can just tell you can talk about all your cars. You name all your cars. So he said, I think you'll be a good fit.
We owe that guy a cookie. We really do. All the great people that traverse our virtual conference room here. So I have to tell you that, we're going to see that a theme will persist through this discussion on VWs. And I have to tell you, I think your first car is just the neatest first car. I've never owned one, but I would love to hear about your first car.
My first car I got before I was even 16. My dad.
So jealous.
My dad and my grandfather got me a 1973 Volkswagen Karmann Ghia, and it was Tropicana Orange. And my parents both tried to teach me to drive. I remember being in an office park down the street from my house, and there there's all these duck ponds in the middle and there's beautiful flowers, and my mom's teaching me to drive and my little sister's in the back seat. And I just remember stalling so bad and my sister hitting the back of my seat. And I was so stressed out. And like, I was just like, oh my God, I can't do this. I can't drive stick. And I don't think I drove that car once I turned 16. They kept trying to teach me, but eventually I sold it, which I forever regret now. I mean, I even love that it was Tropicana Orange now. But
yeah, I think I'm going to have to hold a secondhand grudge with you and against you. Think if you had that now. I was when we were prepping and reading these show notes, and Doug and I were chatting about you before we even met you on the show. The last Karmann Ghia I saw was in a Walmart parking lot. I'm going to say a couple of years or so ago, and the feelings of nostalgia, the waves of. It is such a beautiful machine. And this one was, I'm just going to say, white. I mean, it just is beautiful. I don't think it was pearlescent or anything, but just this beautiful white paint job and just buffed to this high gloss. And when he drove away, your jaw hit the ground. They just make the neatest sound when revving and pulling away. So you said, you called it Tropicana Orange, and did you make that up, or was that?
I made that up at 15 years old. That was I don't know. Okay. I don't know. Actually, I've never investigated what Volkswagen color it was, but in my, teenage self, it was Tropicana Orange.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, the Germans, the no nonsense Germans, probably had, didn't have the clever, cute, quirky color nicknames that all we Americans are fond of. But okay, so you sold it. What happened to that car? It just you put cash in your hand or in your folks' hand, and that car just kind of walked away.
Yeah, that one didn't stay around. Then I got a 1989 Cabriolet, dark blue. I think it had a gray top at the beginning. And I came home from high school one day and there was like a big pink bow on it, like you see in a car commercial. And my dad had gotten a big car bow and put it on this car. And I guess I could like kind of drive at that point. I think I had my license. I didn't get my license until I was 18. I have a bunch of younger siblings, and I wasn't really looking forward to driving, but eventually I got it. I got the Cabriolet. And it'd been in someone's garage forever. So I put the top down. I'm like cruising around Greenwich Avenue, going out with my friends. And I finally go to put the top up. I'm at home. My dad is standing right there. And there's no electronics. So you have to unclip the buttons and then, wiggle it and make sure they're loose. And you go up behind it, do the squat and then the full body press. And I just hear the biggest rip as it comes laying down because the top was so dry rotted. It just split. Yep. So she got a new top and I went to school in Boston. So for the next 2 years, I was on the T. And then, my final 2 years, I had the car up there a lot. And it was nice to have a little car because I could find parking, or I remember.
In Boston, for sure.
One year I just parked on my friend's lawn and no one said anything.
So now let's talk about the top for a minute. Do you remember, where did you source the replacement top, or did you just bring it to a dealership, or did your dad just say, hey, I have 10 of these shoved in the back of my closet? How did you source the top for that car?
At that time, I mean, we still don't have a computer to this day. So at that time, it was my dad probably making a lot of phone calls. We have an upholsterer we work with. Okay. But my dad did put the top on my most recent Cabriolet. So it's always good old dad.
Good old dad. So when it comes, do y'all, and I guess we'll get into the family business here. So much to chat about. We'll get into the family business here and we can actually start chatting about that now. So do you do restoration work in the family business? I guess would be a secondary question, but primarily let's back into what sort of business is your family known for, and what business did you grow up around?
we're known for Volkswagens. We're known as the air-cooled specialists kind of the tri-state area and beyond.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in the garage. I grew up there after school, sweeping floors, picking up nails, so tires wouldn't get damaged, shoveling snow. So it's been my whole life. The shop is 102 years old.
Yeah.
So I grew up with knowing the original Freesia Brothers. It was started by them and their parents, but they were around for a little bit of my early life, and my great aunt, who also ran the business. She was around.
Gotcha. May I share the website here? Is that okay?
Yeah. Okay. Please do.
I know Doug is itching to get in here, partner, but let me just
That's
share.
Okay. Let me just share
the site. It's pronounced Freccia,
Mm-hmm.
Freccia Brothers.com. I'll give that to you again, and if you're listening, you can get it on the show notes here. But Freccia Brothers.com, FreciaBrothers.com, and if you go to this website, I love, and this is your fingerprints all over it, Guinevere. I can tell this beautiful black and white photo, and it's got a little Karmann Ghia there with a couple of Beetles off to the side, and it looks like some jacked up dune buggy thing ready to go. Just hit the sand. Yes, the Baja.
Yeah, the Baja bug.
All right. Well, I need to just step back and be quiet because I know Doug has a million questions here.
You're fine. You're fine. But yeah, there's some great car stories here. So you mentioned 102 years old, the family business. It didn't start doing Volkswagen repair, just based on the timeline. But what did the family start doing?
We started out as painting horse-drawn carriages and, became one of the first dealers. We have a very low dealer plate number. The post road, I believe, was a dirt road back then. We're right on dealership row, so Porsche's across from us. There's Maserati, Lamborghini, Audi, and our storefront is kind of like wonky compared to everyone else, but our garage door points true north, which I think is pretty cool.
Very cool.
And horse-drawn carriages, eventually over the times, they evolved. They became car dealers, repairs. And my dad told me the story and I heard my the elders told me the stories. We used to sit at the garage door. We used to sit at the garage door and wait for a car to break down, and we'd run out there, you bring it back into the shop, and you'd fix it up. And in, I believe it's the 50s, the Blanchard Prey dealership opened. And by the 60s, people were bringing us Volkswagens. We were doing restorations. We were doing repairs. So we were kind of always known for Volkswagens. If people left town and came back, they'd give us a call. And then throughout time, they were just doing Toyotas, Datsuns, Hondas. They were just regular mechanics. But I went to school in Boston for fine art photography, and I came back in 2012, and there was no computer. There was still a rotary phone. And I said, come on, let's go strict specialty. It'll be fun. We don't have to keep up with the computers. We don't have to keep up with these crazy panels and the electronics. The Volkswagen's the easiest car to work on. They're super cute. Come on, people love them. And it wasn't until I think 2014 I was allowed to create a website by my grandfather. And it was just so basic. It was just our name, our address, the hours, and the phone number. And that
was it. But it was your stake in the ground. Yeah.
Yep. And now you have not only the website, you have a Facebook page. We're going to put that on our show notes, as well as Instagram.
Facebook, Instagram, a voicemail, which
is
voicemail,
huge. A push button phone, maybe. Who knows?
A push button phone. My dad. His one request was I'd still like to write everything out on carbon copy paper. So we do keep that, which is very pretty.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just mentioned to somebody the other day, I said, some people are just analog people in a digital world. And if that's what you're used to, and that what works, stay with it. I love that. Keep the history going.
Agreed. So, just sort of by happenstance, right? The shop was there. All these car dealers went out in front of it, and they started doing car repair, right? It was just kind of perfectly located, right? It was all the stars aligned. Yeah, the garage door pointed true north, and that's what we did, right? That is so awesome. And fast forward, still a family business. I believe you told us your father's still involved. Your husband works there as well.
Yeah.
Any others?
I looped my husband in.
Okay.
Not there full time, but on snow days, everyone comes down and helps. And then they're always wearing the t-shirts. They're always leaving business cards on cars. If they pass by, they're always taking pictures. I mean, it is a family affair.
Yep. And that is so great. And they've kept it, right? They've kept it going. And with your help, right? They focused on Volkswagens, I believe some Porsches and Chevrolet Corvairs, right? Keeping it air cooled. Yeah,
we kept it air cooled. So it's 90% Volkswagen, and then we do get the Porsche, the Corvair.
Specialist.
The Corvair vans are cool, but Volkswagen
they are.
My grandfather passed away in 2018, and he had put a 1963 Volkswagen Beetle away in the 80s. And I took her out in 2019 and started showing her. And that's when I really got involved. Well, first I saw Lily Prey speak at the Prey Center. And I mean, there was never a choice in my heart. I was always keeping the shop going. That's what I was mentored to do my whole life. It's what I was expected to do, but it's what I wanted to do.
Even better.
I always thought, like, when I went to college, Kat Von D was big. I always thought I was going to be like the Kat Von D of Volkswagens. I wanted to learn to pinstripe. I have no drawing talent at all. So I just put, my photography, my marketing, I put what I knew how to do to use. But I saw Lily Price speak, and I went home. Eventually my little gray bug came out of storage, and I said, I'm going to name her Lily. And then another year later, Lily, the person, has become a very good friend, my life mentor. And I said, before anyone else tells you, I said, my car's name is Lily. And we've just been the best of friends since.
Fantastic.
Excellent. Well, and you, so in your position at Freesia Brothers, you do all the marketing and media, right? So you've taken that, your college trade, if you will, and made that part of the business, right? Kind of painted the business in your color, so to speak. And you tell us what you do with that. Sounds like you do travel, you do some special events. You do some, some fundraising and whatnot. And we're going to put all this on our show notes. But if you don't mind, indulge us.
I started showing in 2021 was my first show, and that was with Turtle Garage. And I believe that does fundraise for the Prey Center, which is a car collection left by Malcolm Prey. And they do take in kids from technical schools and mentor them and help them find jobs. And they're really big on keeping the car culture alive. And that's where I met James. It's nice to meet like some of the younger generation and see what's going on. And I do travel a lot, I guess, around right now it's Connecticut, Massachusetts. I was trying to go to Audrain's this past week, but the small car co had their big show. So I had to be here for my Volkswagen pupil. But I'm at the point in my automotive career where I'm trying to go out a little further. So I'm thinking maybe a Miami show this year, Amelia, and then eventually I'll get out to Pebble Beach. There is a cool concourse at Lime Rock Park I'm really looking forward to next year. I didn't make it this year. I was supposed to, but
wait a minute.
Happens.
I have a great idea. I have a great idea. Sorry to interrupt. It's a great idea. We have to have a Pebble Beach to all the cars I've loved before rally with all the listeners and guests.
Let's do
take
it.
a year
Let's
or two.
make it
what
happen.
do you think?
Yeah. You guys have like a virtual garage. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. All right, Guinevere, you are our chief marketing officer, I think. You didn't ask for the job, but you just got hired. I dig it. Yep. Hey, but there's still some. Doug, did you have more? Can I hop in here real quick?
No. Hop in. I do have some air-cooled questions.
Look, air-cooled love. All right, well, here, I do want to bring this in.
Please.
Before we go let's talk about the Cabrio. You mentioned the Cabrio, but one thing I had to get to before time spins away from us is, now your second car was a 1989 Cabrio.
Correct.
But your daily driver is an 87 Cabrio. And your other daily driver, it's two, is a 1963 Beetle. So how do you choose which to decide in any given day and compare the second car, that Cabrio, with the Cabrio you own now?
The Cabrio I own now, I actually named her Gadget. The first one was Jessica. The new one is Gadget because she's automatic, and I think she had a radio, which I never had in anything else. So I just felt like it was so high tech, which I'm
very,
of course,
love that.
Compared to a supercar, it's nothing, but it makes me happy. So that's all that matters. And then I have the 1963 Beetle Lily, which she does not have a radio, but I do love driving her backcountry. And people ask me all the time, do you play your phone? I said, no, I kind of just like the quiet and the digital detox. And especially now it's New England and it's beautiful.
You are a walking VW commercial. I can just envision at dusk, the leaves trailing behind, and you're just on curvy mountain roads. I see it. All right, Doug, sorry, back to you. Back to you with the air-cooled interrogation.
Air-cooled culture. So some people with air-cooled cars, they don't want a radio, right? Because you have that beautiful sound. So
the chirp.
The chirp. So maybe you could tell us all the benefits of air-cooled, right? What gets people, what keeps them happy, smiling about air-cooled, right?
Good question.
And why it's so, we know it's nostalgic, right? But there are some other good attributes of air-cooled engines.
Yeah, I mean, we'll go off nostalgia first. Everyone has a Volkswagen story. Right now, the Cabriolet is having a hot moment because they're back. So I was driving that around a lot before without getting stopped. Now I'm getting stopped all the time with people talking to me. But if I take out Lily the Bug, I always plan like an extra 30 minutes to an hour to do my errands because I know I'm going to hear at least like 2 or 3 Volkswagen stories and I want to hear them. So like someone walks up to me, they say, I have Volkswagen, like I'm already invested in your story. But yeah, they've stayed around like no other car has stayed around before. People have hoarded them. They've hoarded their parts. My dad was telling me how there used to be like strictly Volkswagen like displays and Caldors and I think Sears, which you've never seen for another car brand, but they're the simplest cars to work on. They were specifically created that way. They were specifically created to be very efficient. One of my favorite Volkswagen ads. I mean, I probably gravitate to it more because we're in New England, and I remember my dad having, if you have a small business, you're working 24/7. So there was times it would snow and my dad would be, out snow plowing. But there's that old ad, how does the snow plow driver get to work? And it's the little picture of the Volkswagen.
Oh,
so the engine's in the back. But my personal
which
rule,
helps with weight. Yeah.
My personal rule is I'll drive them all, fall, winter in New England until the salt comes down.
That's right. Look out for that salt. You got to watch out for that salt.
and then they go away. But that leads back to the other question. There's no water in them. There's no antifreeze. You don't really have to winterize them. Just make sure give them a good spa day and put them away.
Yeah, with the soothing spa music. Okay, our research, I got to get a couple things in here real quick. Research department, we have dozens of analysts on staff that help us get through any given show. And one of them, just all automotive experts, one of them handed me a note here, a folded up cocktail napkin that said, Tropicana Orange is actually Signal Orange. That was the official name. So now you know. And Doug has a little VW story to tell. Before Guinevere, we'd like to hear about your 914 dreams, and then we'll head the show gently toward
914 dreams. Yeah. So my very quick story, and I wish I could remember the year. Had to be maybe post high school, but I wish I could remember the year of the car. I loved convertibles. In fact, I think the first convertible I ever went for a ride in, or one of the first, was a Volkswagen Bug convertible. And I have to tell a silly story. I was hungover, and I got to tell you, that fresh
family
air
story, family show,
feels so good. I was dehydrated, and the fresh air made me feel so good. And that story just sticks. And it was a yellow bug, convertible Bug. But I wanted to buy, I want to say it was a 60s convertible Bug, and my dad was my mentor / I had no mechanical skills, and we found one, and it had the floor pans replaced. It would run, and my dad talked me out of it, and he said, "I don't know anything about Volkswagens." And thinking forward, I'm like, they're the simplest cars in the world.
He just didn't want to deal with buy you a car. He just didn't want to deal with you on that day.
Well,
that's all. That's the only reason. I was
going to pay for it, but he knew he would get trapped into helping me. So
exactly,
I guess he wasn't up for it that time.
Man, and I won't even start with my stories. And Listenerland knows all about my 1984 VW Rabbit GTI. That car was a trip. And then I was sitting around with my kids last night. We were watching Black Sheep with Chris Farley and David Spade.
Great movie.
During a commercial, this is a great movie. And during a commercial break, I just started thinking about that car. I think I was talking, in the early part of the film, there's a rabbit on the side of the road, and I paused it, and I said to my kids, look at that. I had an 84 VW Rabbit GTI, and they were like, oh, that's interesting, but it doesn't look like much. And and so I immediately pull out the phone and look online, and I find just something that's probably on Bring a Trailer that sold recently for like $35,000. And it's just this pristine. Oh my gosh, it was pristine in the same. What was the inch? Sunset or something? It had white with the air dam with the little red GTI in the front, and they had the blue cloth with the red in the middle, and like it was my car to a T. And I fired it off to Doug and my kids all in a text thread, and I said, "This is it. This is my history." Okay, I said I wasn't going to talk about it, but I did. All right, we got.
Everybody has a Volkswagen story.
I know. I know.
Whenever I'm watching a movie, I just saw on my time hop 2 nights ago, I watched Willy Wonka last year, the original one. If there's a Volkswagen in it, I will screenshot it, post it on my social media. But when I was little, I watched Herbie. I mean, he was so real to me. I wanted him. And the day I went to my dad's shop and there was 3 Herbies parked out front, it was like someone told me Santa Claus wasn't real. I was like, why are 3 of them here? Like, what is this? But
why aren't they talking?
Yeah.
Why isn't the hood flapping?
Yeah. I mean,
that's such a cool story.
I do want to get in here. All right. So back to the, we're all over the place here, but we're so excited. I want to get back to the company's website. So as you were talking about what your family's business does, again, FreciaBrothers.com, Freccia Brothers.com. You go to FreciaBrothers.com services, And this is what I was going to ask you early, but by the magic of the internet, I was able to answer the question from this lovely website you've put together. So full service repairs and restorations, okay, air-cooled specialists, which fuel injection specialists, semi-automatic experts, all mechanicals, including, right, all the way around the car, brakes, clutch, exhaust, tune-ups, engine repairs, and rebuilds, etc. And I love how at the bottom, well, close to the bottom, it says other services, rust repair and floor replacement. And then it says convertible tops and interior work. So that's exactly what you were talking about. So if anybody in listener land has an old VW, you don't know what to do with the top, just bring it to them. Just bring it to them. Convertible tops and interior work, like you were saying. The upholstery, glass and rubber, electrical work. And then across the very bottom, it says, thinking about a custom project, give us a call. And I love that. So it's very open-ended. I mean, your company is fearless. I just love it.
I mean, we just want to keep them on the road.
Amen.
Just want to make people happy.
Yep.
I mean,
that's great.
We had a crazy flood here 2 Septembers ago. Oh. And I remember rescheduling everything I had in the shop because I believe it was a dune buggy. I believe it was a candy apple red dune buggy with extra flake in the paint, which had just been painted, and a silver convertible bug. Two separate owners. They were completely flooded, completely submerged in water. We had to have them in the shop within 24 hours to rinse them in fresh water. And we took apart every single piece. It was the biggest puzzle I have ever assisted on in my entire life.
Wow. Wow. So
that's
why?
Funny.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I hate to do the DeLorean plug. I saw a picture of a DeLorean that got caught in the one of the storms down south. And of course, they're not going to total it, right? It's already in DeLorean of Florida, and they're going to take it apart and clean it up.
There you
go. That together. Piece of history. Just
keep
like
the dream.
Just like the Volkswagens.
Keep the dream alive.
You got it.
All right, Doug. Doug wanted to mention one or two more things before we close out here.
Oh, I think I'm going to limit it to one. Okay. So your dream car, Christian hinted at it, Guinevere. What is it? And tell us why.
Oh, yeah. I've been on a 914 kick recently.
Mm-hmm.
914, 1973. My dad has a little black 914. And I've been driving past one. There's a different shop across town, and there's a white one. And I know a lady owns it, and I just keep watching it. But I'm on a 914 kick. It matches my white Cabriolet. And
yeah, good
me and my dad went cruising right before this, and it's just a cute little zippy car.
Yeah, it's such a neat car, right? It's a Volkswagen / Porsche collaboration, right?
Yeah, and the engine's right in the middle, so you can have the front and the back open, and it'll be like on the sidewalk in front of our shop, and people are looking at it like, where's the engine? But it's fun. It definitely moves much different than the 63 bug.
Yeah, and my recollection is the 914 somewhat. No, it was the 912. I'm sorry. I was going to say took the place of the 356 because it was cheaper, but that was the 912. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Caught myself. My automotive trivia. And the one Volkswagen we didn't talk about was the Volkswagen bus. And I don't know if you're a bus person. I think we have to save it for another episode. Ugh. I know our listeners will want to talk about a Volkswagen bus till they
We'll have my dad. Home. We'll have my dad come back and cover that with you guys.
Yes.
Can we have
father-daughter, perfect.
Yeah, we'll come back.
Yep. We've had husband-wife, we've had father-son. We've had just
would he do it?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, we did a podcast last week for the history of Greenwich, so yeah.
Okay. Dig that.
Awesome.
Oh, we have to want that.
Okay. I feel like we could easily talk for another hour, so we have to get him on here.
I hear Guinevere's dinner bell going off in the background, so I think we've got to let her go. She's got to eat at some point. Doug, did we get to all our hard news hitting questions for Guinevere?
We did, and the best part is I can't wait for the family connection. Thank you to James for connecting us with Guinevere. Guinevere, we'd like to assume you're another friend of the show, and you just give us another referral to sounds like a great man, your dad, and I'm looking forward to the father-daughter event.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. I'm so glad James recommended this, and I've really loved listening to the show these past couple of weeks to prepare.
Aww. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Guinevere.
Have a good evening, guys.
Great to meet you. Thank you for being here. And for Listenerland, you know how to get a hold of us. Christian at carslove.com. Doug at carslove.com. Guinevere, you know how to get a hold of her. FreciaBrothers.com. Check them out. Visit them next time you're in Greenwich with your 914, your bus, your VW thing. And that is going to put this episode in the books. Doug, how do we do? Are we done? Did we get to it all?
We did it. We did it, partner.
Fantastic. Everybody have a great week. We'll see you next week.